Thank you for joining me on our what I call mini YouTube teachings. The other day I had a very unusual experience that I want to share with you. It wasn't so much unusual, but it was eye-awakening to me. My son and I were eating at a local restaurant here in town. It's a Chinese restaurant, Fulin's. And I was going to pay the bill. He likes to go out and eat with me because I always pay the bill. So I'm getting the cash out to pay the bill. And I said, Jonathan, I need an extra $1. He says, Daddy, I don't have any money. And I said, you're out of money. He says, no, I don't use money. I don't use cash. And I said, what do you mean you don't use cash? He said, I never carry cash around. So he starts pulling out phone apps and he starts showing me the little cards he has. And he literally does not, when he goes around town, everything is either with that particular card and there's no cash. And I began to ask him, I said, why do you not use cash? He said, Dad, none of my generation uses cash the way the older generation does. Now, when he said that to me, it's like it really alerted me again to something I have been sharing with people for quite some time. It is not a rumor, it is a fact that eventually cash as we know it, which is called fiat money, will be done away with, and individuals will go into an electronic form of purchasing. This is already being done in China. I was watching a program recently which very much surprised me that there was an entire city in China where no cash is used. Even if you are a tourist visiting, they don't accept cash. You have to go with another system of electronically paying. Now in China, they do it by face recognition in the stores. In fact, when you walk into the store, it takes a picture of your face and anything you purchase, it calls your name on a computer and you pay by swiping your phone or you swipe a card. And what it does, it takes it directly out of your bank account. It's all done electronically. So there are entire cities now in China, and the report was showing it is an entire city that no longer accepts cash. There are places in Europe that are going completely cashless. Now, there's several reasons. Excuse me for scratching my nose. It's itchy just a little bit. But there are several reasons for this. Number one is it reduces robberies when it's cashless. Number two, it reduces employees from stealing money, which shops and stores for years have had problems with and still continually do. The third reason is this. If you've noticed lately, there has been discussions that the viruses can stay on paper money. And I have gone places where they have asked not to pay with money, but to pay with credit. Now, if that was true, that the virus stayed on money, then a lot of people should be getting the virus on a consistent basis. In fact, everybody should be getting it because the money is handed around so much. So I'm not really sure about that. But I will tell you that we are being programmed in our stores to try to use credit. Convenience stores are encouraging people, of course, to go to some form of credit more than cash. There's been a change shortage as well. Every store I'm going into now is asking for either making a credit payment of some kind or try to pay exactly or provide them change. One story I was in the other day said, we will buy your change, meaning they will give you dollars if you will give them change. And of course, this is not some conspiracy as some people suggest. This is simply the fact that because of Corona and people's businesses being shut down, it has created a change shortage of people not spending their change in stores, especially the major cities, but now it's filtering down to the more rural areas and rural towns, whether it's up in Kentucky or southwestern Virginia, Tennessee, etc. And maybe in your area as well, I'm not sure. Now, the reason I'm pointing this out about going cashless is this. What would people do if there was an announcement of turning all of your cash in to a bank or depositing it into a bank system and going into some form of electronic system? The reason we do not like to use the electronic systems for our banking is because of hackers. Hackers have been known to shut down people's accounts and also been known to steal money from people's account electronically. So one of the biggest dangers as to why this has been negative in the eyes of a lot of people is because of the possibility of being hacked and everything you have being stolen. Whereas if you have it in a bank and you have a bank that you know and you're familiar with that has their systems up the way they should be, at least it will be partially protected or totally protected in the event of some hacking incident. Another thing I want to point out that has been an observation of mine is if you've noticed on the Corona deaths, it's a lot of the older people. A lot of the deaths are from nursing homes throughout the United States. Some of them, of course, are people in their 60s and 70s that have pre-existing conditions. One of the things I want to point out about the older generation passing away that I've pointed out in the past is the older generation of people are your patriots. The older generation of people tend to be your more conservative people, and as an additional point, they seem to be a lot of the generation that was raised on Scripture, whether it was in a Catholic church, Baptist church, Pentecostal, Protestant, Charismatic church. They were raised to know the Bible. Knowing the Bible, they are familiar with Revelation 13 of a system that will develop, I call the beast system, of which you will have to have a mark, a name, or a number in order to buy products, but also in order to sell, meaning that if you're a business, you have to use this particular non-cash system. Or if you're purchasing, you have to use this non-cash system. At some point down the road, now it may be months away or it may be years away, we will go into a complete cashless system. Now this is one of the reasons why you have a lot of people, and I know a lot of people cannot afford gold at the price it's at, and silver's high as well, but you have a lot of people that are going through the back door and taking their cash and purchasing precious metals. Now, the reason for that is very simple. If, for example, there were to be a collapse of the economy, or if there were to be, for example, a hyperinflation, then the cash becomes useless at the level and the value that it is presently. Therefore, people go into what is called bartering. The one thing about precious metals, whether it's a silver coin or a gold coin or silver bars or gold, is that the bartering system has worked all throughout history during different times of crisis. During the Great Depression, there was a lot of things that were put on limitation. You had to buy sugar with stamps from the government and other products as well. Sometimes it was meat that was limited in stores, and you could only pull from a book the stamps that were provided for by the government in order to purchase certain products, of which they were what we call rationed. Now, in a situation like that, people got into bartering. A neighbor may have additional of such and such, so they would give them meat from a cow in order for sugar, things of this nature. Now, that may be the old system, but people today will still use precious metals because they have a value to them for a bartering system. You know, if there's an economic collapse, there's not a lot of people to buy your gold coins or your silver coins, but once again, it can be used, for example, if you were to go to a repair shop and a man has the parts that you need, but the money was a problem, then you give him the coins at a certain value rate that's set, then you have paid for it in that manner by the value rate, not by the cost of the coin itself, meaning a silver dollar is only worth $1, but the silver in a silver dollar that's 90-some% silver may be valued at $20 or $30, or sometimes in the future it could be $50 each. Now, I'm not necessarily promoting that because I'm not an economist. I'm not a specialist in that field, although I do believe it's wise to diversify your portfolio in what you feel is the right thing to do. Many times people will write us or email us because they know we do a lot of prophetic studies and they'll ask us our opinions about certain investments and things of that nature. So for your information, we do not recommend any type of investment, nor do we support any type of investment, whether it be stocks or things of that nature, simply because we believe every individual must do their own research, because every individual their situation is different on their economic level and what they're able to do. I will conclude by telling you this, that in the future, two things are going to be extremely valuable, and I base this upon the volcanic eruptions, upon earthquakes that will come in the future, upon the possibility of tsunamis that will corrupt and destroy the fresh water supply, and also food. Water and water sources and food is very, very important in the days ahead. Now, I know we're fortunate, and perhaps I shouldn't say this, but we're fortunate to have property in this area owned by our ministry where there are 3 underground water sources. One of the huge businesses in the area wanted to buy the property from us just because of the fresh water source that's underground. Now, we didn't purchase it for that reason. In fact, we weren't even unaware of this at the time of the purchase. However, it's going to be important in the days ahead for people to do this. The second thing I will tell you, and I will do a study on this later on, is what about cities? Is it time to exit some of the dangerous major cities? Now, let me say this. There are cities in America that do not have the level of the rioting or the necessarily the crime, because they're run by very strong conservative governments who have strong police forces, strong law enforcement officials, and are very well at keeping order in their city. However, there are places that are becoming dangerous and in the future will become more dangerous. So I think individuals need to look at possibilities of down the road of where they should be. Is there any place in the world totally safe? Well, probably not, unless you're living up in the caves in a mountain. We're not going to do that, and I don't know anybody else that will. Then you got the rattlesnakes, the bears, the spiders, and the bats you got to deal with. So there's no perfect place. But I do think that in these times, as we prepare for the time of the end, as we continue to share the teachings that we share, whether it be social media or other methods through the Perry Stone Ministries, we hope that you will stay informed of the Word of God. Now, what I need you to do is share this with other people and subscribe to our YouTube channel, which there'll be an announcement at the end. Also, you can follow me on Perry Stone Ministries. You have to put that in there, Perry Stone Ministries Facebook page. We're seeing anywhere between 500,000 to over 1 million people following us on our Facebook page, keeping up with special updates. We're on a sabbatical away from public pulpit speaking and traveling and some other things of this nature. But we are able to share with you these many messages, and we want you to continue to enjoy them. I will have another one coming up later with a picture that I have to show you that I think is one of the most beautiful and fascinating things I've seen. And that picture goes back to 1980. It's pretty amazing. Thank you so much for joining me. And you can go to perrystone.org to order also our New Testament, Old Testament, our books, and also our DVDs and CDs that help us keep the ministry going around the world. We hope also that you watch our program called Manifest that's available worldwide on the Dish and DirecTV networks, and also cable television as well. Thank you, and may the Lord bless you. Click the like button and subscribe to this channel, and never miss a video by clicking the bell to get the alerts when a new video is posted. This YouTube channel is made possible by your generous donations. So to support our outreach of teaching, visit perrystone.org/YT.